Good morning and welcome to the Stick with Rick. Now I'm thankful to say, folks, after last week I picked myself up a sponsor, the Sugar Shack, where life's too short for boring desserts. And speaking of things that aren't boring, this is where our story from last week started, right here at Picket Post Mountain. You can see it behind me. Now out here at the base of the mountain was a fort where those soldiers started out with the guns. Took a trip from here, headed down to Fort McDowell, and along the way, that's where they lost those guns. Now I'm going to show you around today, Picket Post Mountain down here at the bottom. We'll walk around a little bit. I'm not going to take a hike to the top this week. That'll be for a further episode, but I hope you guys enjoy this nice little hike today. Now you can just imagine, folks, being a group of soldiers out here trying to make your way through the mountains. None of this is very flat. None of it's very nice. You know, these canyons and drop-offs. And trying to make weapons all the way through with some donkeys and horses to the other side of all this stuff. A good, I don't know, 50 miles away. Through Apaches, through wildlife. Think you could do it? I don't know if I'd want to try. Not back then anyway. I mean, you had your two biggest warring forces to ever meet in the United States between the Apaches and the American soldiers. You got to figure between the two, they're responsible for the most murders on U.S. soil. It's hard to believe, ain't it? See, this is why I like coming out here, folks. All this beautiful scenery, the rock formations. You don't see this in a city street. You won't see it in your neighborhood. But you come out here and you can enjoy the earth that God created for us. You can see just how the animals live, how things survive out here on their own, where you wouldn't think there's much that could survive. You know, people say Arizona has a desert. There's no colors out there. And check out all this green. It's nice. It's a good time of year. So far, March has been good to us on the rain. Plant life's coming back. Look at that, folks. You see, this is why out in the plains in Arizona, Indians never really could build a house, because you can see forever out here, and it doesn't take much when you light a fire to see the smoke. It's pretty easy to find you. So they had to make little homes, and what they could find in a rock or carve out. Hopefully out here I'll show you a few places where it looks like they could have been. Now, pay attention, folks, as I gaze around this mountain. You can see just why I say everything has a place in this world. That little tree there, underneath the shade, just enough it can grow. You follow this waterfall down. Not much of a waterfall, but you see the hole there? That's perfect for those squirrels, ground animals. Follow that down even further. You see another little perfect hole for the same thing. Well, why would that be there just out of nowhere? What happened? God happened. And you see, folks, here's another one of those nice perfect spots. You're out here coming through the middle of nowhere back in the middle of the 1800s. You can see just about everything around you from right here to your left, to your right. Covered from overhead. It'd be a nice little sleeping spot. As you can tell by the burns out here, somebody's been camping. And one time this may have been a spot somebody tried to mine at, but it does look like a nice little sleeping spot. Now, I don't know about you folks, but I find these things out here to be a little neat. With the water and the sand and everything washed away. What these look like up close, it almost looks like an alien universe, you know? Something you wouldn't see here on Earth, but I mean, just look at that. Perfect little spot for all the animals God created. All the birds, snakes out here, whatever. It's a little good little fox den too. But why? Because that's the way things are, folks. If you take care of one another, if you take care of the environment around you, it'll always provide for you. Now you see, this is the other part of the United States that the government doesn't want to tell you about. They don't want you to know how much destruction they've caused. But if you check this out right here, the rocks laying around, walls that have tumbled. This all used to be a dwelling. that we decided didn't belong here anymore. Now, who was that to say? Me, you, or nature? Apparently, the United States government decided it was their turn. All right, made my way up on top of this little ridge line here where we found that old home had been destroyed. As you can see, it's a beautiful landscape out here. Come and turn, look that way, you can see Superior. Now, this was founded old Pinal City, I think it was. It ended up developing into Superior. Little mining town in the middle of nowhere. Some of the best views this side of the Mississippi. Now that mountain right there, folks, we used to have a troop of soldiers on top looking out for the Indians. Because you could see for a couple 100 miles up there. The best spot in the territory to hunt the Indians. Now how about this natural echo chamber you see here? A nice little flat plateau. Another plateau on top. You mix this with the evidence of natives around this area. I do believe this could have been a very ceremonial spot back in about 1600. All right, come across another hole out here. You can see it was probably a spot somebody tried to mine one day. Today, it serves as a home of probably a coyote or a wildcat. But it doesn't seem that Wiley is home today. So we'll come up in here. Oh, you got daylight through that hole. You got daylight in here? Well, let's see over here. Oh, how about that, folks? You can see green. Not quite sure what that might be. Chrysalis. Or whatever they may call it. I ain't too smart on that stuff. Now you come in here. It's a nice little hole. And somebody's even put rocks in there to try and keep it up. What about that, folks? A little bit of ingenuity out here. Now, if you look out here, you know the symbolism. You can see that that saddle, or saddles like that, used to be very important to both the Spanish and the native cultures. Straight across from that saddle is that amphitheatre I was telling you about. Now, could you imagine being out here with your grandfather, your father, listening to an old man preach up there, tell you about your history, tell you about your religion? You could hear for miles the way it would echo out of there. Everybody'd sit around here and they'd enjoy. They'd be with their families and enjoy the nature. Because the only thing you could hear is your religious elder speaking and whatever wild animal might happen nearby. Now you come downhill from that amphitheater, and I don't know how much historical significance it is. But you got this wash here. It's a pretty nice view. I'm going to take you guys through it with me. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I do. It does seem to be a great view. Hope y'all are having a good Sunday. Can you imagine, though, out here being an Indian, trying to run, being hunted? All these little hidey holes you need to find to survive. But thankfully they knew it like the back of their hands. So that little piece of water right there, that was as valuable to them as gold. They could survive off of that for a couple days out here and never have to go too far and risk being caught. And you know, back then the waters used to run just a little bit more than they are now. As you can see, nature cuts its own path through all this rock, all this land. God knew where the water needed to be. Put it in specific locations to cut through specific rock. Now you may think I'm full of it, but as you come through here and you look at the different cuttings and the way it comes through, it gives plenty of room for animals to get by, feed, get what they need. Unless the humans, at least back when the world was the way God intended it, let the humans traverse through here without having to worry about too much sunlight, too much heat. And oh boy, it does go deep down there. Not sure if you can see it, but that's probably a 5-foot deep hole down there. So quiet. All you hear is a little trickle of that water. That's it. You don't hear any cars, you don't hear any fussing. But yet so many people would rather go out on Friday night and get drunk, risk hurting somebody, and to sleep in. Come out here and enjoy nature. Come out here and say, thank you, God. Thank you for creating a world for me and my family and these animals that keep us all living. Maybe if we took a day out of our week just to say thank you to the universe for providing for us, life might be just a little bit better for all of us. Getting a little tricky here, but thankfully, well, that was a little wetter than I expected, but I could see that at one point a goat or a mountain lion had used that to cross here. Just big enough for a footprint. Let's try and scale down a little bit without dropping the phone. Get down here to the bottom. A little bit easier walk. See all those rocks tumbling. I don't want to be one of them tumbling rocks. Here you go. How about that? That almost looks, back up a little bit, that almost looks like an old footprint. Put your foot just about dead in it. How about that? So you come on down. We're gonna have to cross here at one point. Probably easier to cross right here. It gets a little wide there. Which way are we gonna go, folks? There we go. Up here. Ooh, that's a little steep drop off, ain't it? Come down a little bit. Maybe I can cross over that ridge line and go around the creek. I thought it'd be a nice view, but it's a little treacherous one-handed. Try and keep my balance here. Oh, look at that. It's almost like a fountain you'd see at your house. Just sitting there at the bottom of the mountain. But it does look like we can hop, skip, jump, get down here. I'll take a seat. Keep your eye on that ridge line. That's all you gotta do. Make sure you're heading the right direction. Now, what do we got over here? How big of a drop is that? And how do we even get up there? I guess from here, folks. Gonna have to set the phone down to get through this part. Apologize about that. Well, thank you guys for turning in to the Stick with Rick this week out here at the Picket Post Mountain, where the Lost Dragoons first started their little journey to getting lost. Now we're back where we started, out here by the wall. I couldn't quite go down the canyon. Too much of a drop off, and either way it was about 50 feet straight down, so I decided to turn back around, come out this way. I want to say thank you for tuning in, thanking my sponsor, the Sugar Shack, where life is too short to keep desserts boring. And you guys remember, don't keep your lives boring either. Get out here and enjoy it.